Hello everyone, I'm Ian Richardson, CEO and co-founder of the Iceway and Curated Global's Technology Ambassador. Now, earlier this year we had a great day of really engaging discussion when we hosted Curated Cruise Global Tech and Innovation. And a particular highlight for me was when I got to catch up with the president of Princess Cruises, Jan Swartz. We talked about how technology and innovation have always been a focus of hers throughout her amazingly successful career, how Princess is using the latest innovations in restarting, and what plans they have for the future. Here's what Jan had to say. Hi Jan, how are you?
Hi Ian, great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, it's a real pleasure, I have to say, and I'm really excited about talking to you today. So you've had a very distinguished career so far, but firstly, the first question I want to ask, I want to go right back to the beginning. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry and also who or what has had a tremendous impact on your career and on you as a leader.
So I started in the cruise industry over 20 years ago, and it's been such a privilege to serve in this industry. I would say what's had the greatest impact on my career has been working alongside teammates from all over the world. And I think this last year of challenges from COVID-19 has given me even deeper respect for the resilience and the guest-centric way that our shipboard and shoreside teams tackled the challenges that we faced together.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year for everybody, hasn't it? And we're going to get into that, I think, throughout the course of this chat. So, but today is all about tech and innovation. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on the role that technology has played throughout your career and also during the successful growth of the cruise industry over the last 20 years.
So technology has played a central theme in my career. I actually joined Princess after leaving a .com at the height of the .com boom and bust, and spent the early years in my career on the commercial side of the business, right, helping create demand for our guest experiences. And in those roles was privileged to work with groups of teammates to create things like Polar Online, which is the top travel agent booking engine in the cruise business, as well as Princess Academy, which is one of the largest online travel universities, I believe, in the world. And so really saw the power of how defining a fantastic user experience can elevate dramatically the performance of the business. And of course, have had a great opportunity to work with John Paget and his team within Carnival Corporation in our Guest Experience Innovation Center to completely transform our fleet to become a Medallion class fleet serving our guests.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking quite a bit, I think, about Ocean Medallion. Now, obviously, the last year, as you said, has been really like no other, with challenges faced by everybody involved in cruise. But I mean, I'm an optimist, so I mean, I can't wait for the ships to restart very soon, and there's some optimism there. However, I mean, as we look into the return to service this year, what do you see as the biggest challenges faced by cruise industry leaders?
You know, I, like you, share great optimism. I think so many people are ready to get back out and see this big, beautiful world that we all share, and believe that there will be plenty of pent-up demand when the world is ready for our ships to return. That said, I think operationally, it's going to be quite a challenging environment in the form of making sure that we are in lockstep with all of the relevant authorities in each respective market around the world so that everyone feels absolutely comfortable that we can return to service safely and with our guests' health and well-being, environmental protection, and our top priorities. So we really look forward to returning to service. That said, I think in Princess history, the most ambitious year we had was delivering 3 new ships within 90 days. And now with Holland America Group, we'll return 33 ships back into service when the world allows. So this is going to be quite a team effort to get the cruise business restarted, and we couldn't be more excited and ready to make that happen.
Great, yeah, and I'm excited for some of the ships coming to the UK as well this year. Now, thinking about the morning sessions that we've got today on things like contact tracing, wearables, return to service technologies, and the rise of digitalization and mobile, I think it's time we should talk about Ocean Medallion. So, I mean, the accolades that Ocean Medallion has won in the last, 2 or 3 years since it was announced at CES by Arnold Donald. I mean, it's won the CES Innovations Award, the IoT Breakthrough Wearables Innovation of the Year. It's won an Edison Award. I mean, the list goes on. Can you give me a bit of background on it from your perspective as a leader, Ocean Medallion?
Sure. So the Ocean Medallion effort really started inspired by Arnold really challenging us to think about how could we become even more maniacally focused on our guest experience, right? How could we make that experience easier, more simple, more personalized, and more extraordinary for our guests? And that's really what we set out to do with the Medallion class experience. And we've been so pleased to see the guest reaction to our experiences, and have really used this time in pause to accelerate our progress such that we will return to service with the entire Princess Fleet Medallion class enabled.
Yeah, and how do you see that happening in terms of the way it's being used in the new world, or at least let's hope it's a temporary world at Princess and the wider group?
Well, I think as many who have followed Medallion class cruising closely understand, we now will have a fleet of floating smart cities, right? That by using a bunch of cutting edge, world-class, invisible technology, we allow every single guest to engage in more effortless, personalized, and truly touchless experiences. And that's everything from swift, truly touchless boarding to more simple safety assembly practices to on-demand services that I think consumers now, after COVID-19, fully expect to be part of their lifestyle. So capabilities like Ocean Now, where with just a few clicks, you can have anything delivered to you wherever you may be on the ship, whether that's food, beverages, retail, or even crew service. I think these capabilities enabled by our smart cities on board our ships will truly differentiate cruising and Princess Cruises within all of global hospitality.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the general things that you've designed into Ocean Medallion to enhance the guest experience have actually they're all going towards helping the health and safety and well-being of the passengers as well, because it's a lot of the technologies around contactless communication and contactless payments, and opening the door when the passenger goes near it, and all that kind of thing. But I mean, has there been any things that you've had to adapt in Ocean Medallion in the last year in terms of for the new protocols?
I think we entered return to service significantly advantaged, because so much of Medallion class cruising was so forward thinking and anticipating what the consumer trends would be in the future. And so absolutely during this pause, we've pushed our thinking even further so that we can deliver truly touchless embarkation, right? As you said, keyless door entry, on-demand services anywhere on the ship for anything someone might wish for. And all of that supports now somewhat unique needs of consumers upon returning, where they may want to stay more physically distant from others, or they may want to have their dinner sitting out by the pool looking at the sunset. And all of those things are made possible through further developments on our Ocean Medallion platform. So we feel very well prepared to take care of our guests upon returning to service.
Great. And now, is there a different choice of options for passengers based on their digital preferences, or does everybody get the same?
Absolutely has enormous choice embedded within our approach. So we chose to go with a wearable because of that maniacal guest centricity that I spoke about earlier. We wanted to make sure that 100% of Princess guests, whether they wanted to leave their phone in their cabin and take a digital detox vacation, or whether they're a young child, right, and don't yet have a phone, we wanted everyone to be able to engage in the full array of experiences. And so as a consequence, we use the Medallion, right, as the central way to connect with one another and with our guests. And that is supplemented by virtually every piece of glass on board the ship, whether that is our guest device or their interactive television or a portal, or even our crew devices, which enable them to do all of the services on behalf of the guest.
Right.
So this completely holistic approach and integrated ecosystem allows our guests to engage in whichever way that they see fit.
Right. Yeah. And presumably, because obviously the crew are wearing all the devices as well, you've got a sort of out of the box contact tracing solution already there in place that you developed previously. Right. And it can work anyway in the current situation.
Yes.
It's very good forethought. I mean, and that on that note, I mean, Princess is the pioneer really for much of the Carnival Group's technology and innovation. Can you talk us through why that is?
Sure. Well, if you think about Carnival Corporation, right, as the largest leisure company in the world with 9 cruise brands around the world, Princess is the perfect candidate for its innovation efforts. In that, we carry millions of guests, right? So we have significant scale. We serve guests from over 100 countries around the world, which allows us to create all of our capabilities in multiple languages. And we sail to all 7 continents. So if you can solve the tech opportunities within that, it really is sort of the highest level of inclusion and complexity and difficulty. And I think what John Paget and his team have done in conjunction with our Princess team in total partnership is quite extraordinary. And we're really pleased to demonstrate with the entire Princess fleet all that we have created upon return to service.
So besides Ocean Medallion, what other sorts of measures are Princess Cruises and the wider group implementing as they return to service?
Well, I think all cruise lines, including our brands in terms of Princess, Holland America Line, Seabourn, as well as Australia, are all putting a tremendous amount of energy and effort in defining our health protocols, and so that things like embarkation or safety assembly are handled in new ways that are more responsive to the unique circumstances related to the COVID-19 challenges. So each cruise line has adapted their technology to meet the needs of the time and serve our guests even better upon our return.
Okay, great. Now, I'm thinking ahead to some of the sessions we've got planned today. Now, one of the sessions is about technology investments. Now, how do you see the next 2 or 3 years in terms of technology investments in the cruise industry?
I think all of hospitality will find that the future of leisure is in truly personalized experiences.
Mm.
In today's consumers who are living a life full of Amazon and Netflix and a variety of platforms that get to know them exceptionally well, and as a consequence, serve up ever more relevant content and experiences, largely in the digital world, will soon come to expect that in the fused world of the digital plus physical environment. But most importantly, in the cruise business, we find that of all the letters our guests write me, the letters are most often about a shipboard teammate and how a service interaction that they had with a guest dramatically enhanced their experience or really meant something to them in their life. And so really the thrust of our development efforts have been in truly enabling that form of special connection, guest to guest and guest to shipboard teammate. And I think we're going to increasingly see investments in that area in supporting one another to deliver ever personalized experiences.
Okay, so using technology to support the crew deliver a better service. Okay, so there's the assumption will be that there's probably going to be an underinvestment in technology over the next few years, because obviously the budgets are very tight and there's cost constraints. But you see that's not necessarily an option, really. You have to keep investing.
I think strategic companies press on with their most critical initiatives, despite the largest of challenges. And I would say that's certainly evident here. When we went out of service, Princess had 5 Medallion class enabled ships, and we will return from this pause with our entire fleet equipped to deliver guest and crew experiences at an entirely different level. And so I think that really speaks to the criticality of continuous improvement and investment in support of our guest experience and our teammate experience.
Okay, and just sticking with investments just for a second, as a leader, what would you say your key criteria are when deciding on what technology investments to assign budget to?
So the key criteria is really around how will this investment radically enhance our guest experience, because we are all here to serve our guests.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we must serve our shipboard teammates better or give them enhanced tools so they in turn can serve our guests better. And I think when all of those things line up and we make everybody's lives easier, more simple, more personalized, it allows people to relax more deeply into their vacation experience, connect with one another, and bring home even more cherished memories of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Yep. Now, what I'd like to do as well, I'd like to hear your thoughts and insights into the technology in the wide cruising ecosystem. I'm just thinking about some of the sessions we have in the afternoon. Now, do you see any changes in the way that ships are designed for the future after the pandemic?
I think that one of the remarkable learnings that come from our Medallion class capabilities, right, is that with smart cities, we have complete location-based awareness. And that allows us to study the flows of our guests or our teammates in revolutionary ways. And so I anticipate that further interrogation, right, of all of that learning will yield additional and already have yielded great insight into our future new build design. And so I think as we continue to make investments as an industry in our guest experiences, in our crew experiences, they will continually inform ship design. And I think also, as you see in our normal lives, increasingly, service is no longer tied to a physical space, right? Whether that's a physical restaurant through, Uber Eats, or physical time frame, or used to only be open. And so many of those traditional constraints are now released, where consumers expect to get what they want, when they want it, where they want it. And I think we as an industry, and certainly the conversations later today, will speak to on-demand services and the role that those will play going forward.
And can you talk a little bit about how you see technology is playing its role in the way that cruise lines are managing ground operators and the way you interact with ports and tour operators?
Well, as we've done our guest experience design, obviously we've looked at from the moment they book their cruise all the way to returning home. And so the work was really done to enhance the entire experience and remove all the moments of friction, both for our guests, but also for our teammates. And in this case, we also, of course, include the folks who work in our ports of call. And with the development of tools, I think we have made great strides in a very easy, as I said, touch-free embarkation process. And that, of course, makes things easier on the ground as well. And so I think it's that true partnership and truly studying and watching and learning how we can support our guests and we can support our team and our extended team to make those experiences even better.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're nearly out of time. So I just want to ask one last question, and I want for you to give me your score between 1 and 10, with 1 being not very confident and 10 being very confident, of how confident you are that the industry is going to have full ships, back to full ships, and be continuing on our pre-pandemic growth trend by 2023.
Well, by 2023, I would give that scoreboard an 11, because I believe that cruising offers an extraordinary vacation value. I think we as an industry are really pushing hard to develop, wonderful guest experiences. And I think our net promoter scores as an industry demonstrate how high performing cruises versus land-based vacation alternatives. And so I have every confidence that we will continue to see great growth and consumer interest in the cruise business. And I believe by 2023, we should be back to smoother sailing.
Fantastic. Well, I have to agree with your optimism there, Jan. So I really want to thank you so much for your insights today.
My pleasure.
That was really good. And I'm just sorry that that's all we've got time for. So a huge thank you, Jan. And thank you to everybody that's tuned into this session. So I'd like to thank Jan once again for getting up so early that morning to share with us her thoughts and reminding us that there's many reasons to be optimistic for the future of our great industry. Also to every one of you that tuned in and engaged in the many discussions that we had during Seatrade Cruise Virtual, I certainly hope to see you all back in Miami in September when we're back in person for Seatrade Cruise Global.